Welcome to the PairRec San Fran Tourism channel. Our goal is to help you find your point of interest by showcasing the top attractions within the San Francisco Bay Area. Now today's focus will be phase 6 of a series of adventures featuring the Scenic Highway 1 drive from Bodega Bay to Mendocino. Now most tourists and many locals only are familiar with the scenic drive from San Francisco to Monterey, going south of San Francisco, that is, versus taking Highway 1 and using the scenic drive going north of San Francisco. And so that's what we're going to be emphasizing. Now, Bodega Bay is approximately 90-minute drive north of San Francisco. As you're coming over the Golden Gate Bridge going northbound on Highway 101, you take the Stinson Beach Highway 1 exit, and then you just go out westbound Highway 1 all the way out to the coast. Coastal Line Highway 1 takes you all the way up to Bodega Bay and beyond. Or a faster route, you just continue going up Highway 101, use your GPS, and based on what your GPS tells you, you get off at one of the exits that are pretty much closer to where Bodega Bay is. And you got to cut through these mountains all the way out to the coast. Now, I'll put the links in the description for phases 1 through 5 as we continue our journey going northbound on Highway 1. With that being the case, let's get started. Today's weather in Bodega Bay is 55 degrees Fahrenheit with 52 degrees humidity and 1 mile-an-hour winds. Today's date is Tuesday, December the 8th, 2020. Time is 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now we ended phase 5 of our journey here at Portuguese Beach, and we're going to continue our journey going northbound from Portuguese Beach. I featured it in phase 5 as spectacular views of the ocean. You got a couple of bench areas there, and then the parking lot is fairly large, so it can accommodate lots of vehicles. So here's a view of the parking lot. You can see there's plenty of space for parking. Today it's during the midweek, so it's not as crowded as it would be on the weekends. So let me give you a panoramic view of the parking lot. So as you can see, most cars are parked just along the edge here, the edge of the lot where you can absorb spectacular scenic views of the ocean. Now, if you do decide to swim in the beach, they do provide some signage here that indicates there are some rules in regards to using the beach. They say here, danger, this is one of the most deadliest beaches in California. Follow these rules and be safe. And supervise children, don't enter the surf, do not play tag with waves, stay above berm, always watch for sleeper waves. Don't turn your back on the ocean. Now here's the road leading down to the beach, and as you see at the end of the road, there's also restrooms. So here's the up-close view of the restrooms. So again, if you need to use the restrooms, here they are. So here's the next trail leading down to the beach. Some trails are easier to walk on than others, so you might want to, on this particular trail, you might want to walk it with caution because you could trip and fall. So that's just the way that it is. So as you can see, we made it to the beach. I want to give you some up-close shots of the ocean waves. It was in the forecast that today, like yesterday, was going to be the waves are going to be very high and there's going to be a lot more wave activity. There was lots of wind yesterday, so I avoided coming out yesterday, and that's one of the things you need to be aware of as well before you decide to come out to the Highway 1 Scenic Drive and hang out on the beach. You need to be aware of the weather conditions because it can get very windy out here. I'll put a link in the description for the weather channel so you can monitor the weather forecast before you head out. So here's a wonderful shot of the sand dunes. So let me give you a panoramic view of Portuguese Beach. So now you can see the waves up close as you approach the water, but I said today forecast doesn't indicates that you should probably stay away from the water due to the high wave activity. Another thing that's special about the wave activity today is you see how the waves roll up against the rocks, which is really quite interesting and exciting. So as you can see, here's the entrance to Portuguese Beach. So here's a view from the top of the parking lot as we continue our journey northbound on Highway 1. So you can see those waves are really quite high. I've never seen them this high as far as the ocean views, as far as being along the ocean, that is. There's some areas within along Highway 1 where the waves are really high, such as San Mateo County, Half Moon Bay. It's called Portuguese Beach. They have a surfing contest there every couple of years, and those waves get as high as 70 feet. So there's also cycling options as well along Highway 1. So you have many options. See if we get a wave. So now we're going to continue our journey on Highway 1 going northbound. One of the many things that's special about your scenic drive on Highway 1 is on one side of the highway you have the ocean views, which I showed earlier, but then as well as accessing the beach. And the other side of the highway you have vacation rental homes where you can provide or have lodging options. I'll put a link in the description for vacation rentals that are on Highway 1. Furthermore, you have the scenic views of the mountains, and sometimes there's farm life in the mountains as well. Highway 1, right in the middle. Now here's one of the many turnouts that you will find where you can pull over to the side, take photos and videos while watching spectacular views of the ocean, and also great for watching sunsets as well. Now another thing that's special about your scenic highway drive is that you have the ocean, as I mentioned earlier, and then you have the hillside cliffs, which is adjacent to Highway 1. And in some cases, you'll have many trails around these cliffs. And of course, they've got step wells leading down to the beach, although a lot of them are not really made very well. As I said earlier, you have to watch your step. So you can see one of the residences has a bench where they can absorb the amazing views of the ocean. You find a lot of these benches that are in a lot of the parks as well, where you can kind of, here we go. Some fun motorists saying hi. Whereas it's literally where you can just relax and absorb with your significant other and absorb the amazing views of the ocean. So as I said earlier, one of the things that you can do besides driving and hiking is also cycle on Highway 1. Here's another cyclist. See if we can get a wave. How you doing? Now I'm going to give you some slow motion action shots of the cars that are driving on Highway 1. Now I'm going to give you some time-lapse shots of the cars driving from southbound going northbound. So as you can see from across the highway, looking the opposite direction from the ocean, you have the Hillside Mountains, and as I said earlier, you see in the background there's some wildlife as well. So you got farms, Hillside Mountains on one side of Highway 1, you got the ocean and the sea cliffs on the other. As you can see, you don't want to get too close to the cliff, as you could end up falling to your death. Here's another shot of the steep cliff. Now you see that rock in the background. You'll find a lot of these rocks all throughout the oceans, the beaches that are along the oceans here, along Highway 1. Now here's another wonderful shot from the cliff from which we began at Portuguese Beach. You can see different angles of the beach as you move along Highway 1. Here's yet another wonderful view of the Hillside Mountains. As you can see, we're getting closer to the wildlife. There's usually either cow or goats or many other forms of wildlife. Now here's another beach access just off Highway 1, although this particular beach doesn't have a title to it. The closest address I see is, well, that's a private residence, so it doesn't have a real beach access to it. And you could say maybe 56, 51, how about 56, 52, Highway 1. Now I'm going to give you some more up-close shots of the beach as well as some slow-motion shots as well. So now we're really close to the beach. Because there's lots of wave activity, I want to give you some up-close shots of the ocean as well. See, the birds like to hang out next to the beach as well. But also I'm going to give you some slow motion shots. Now I'm going to give Well, here's a convenient lodging option along Highway 1, Bodega Stay, located at 5925 Highway 1. Here's motorcycle options on Highway 1. So here's an up-close view of some of the wildlife on the farmlands on Highway 1. Looks like a cow right there. And to our right, there's a few more cows staring at me right now. This shot from the ocean, you can see how the ocean waves just run up along the sea cliff rocks. Another bigger rock. There's several of them here along Highway 1 as you're going northbound. In fact, there's even a beach called the Goat Rock. It's because of all the rocks that are in the ocean. And finally, you can see even more of them right along the hillside cliffs there. Now here's even more wildlife as well. Now here's a wonderful panoramic view of the wildlife and the Hillside Mountains. Let me give you another panoramic view of the Hillside Mountains and the wildlife. Here's yet another turnout, where, as I mentioned before, you can stop and take photos, videos of the wonderful views of the ocean. Let's check it out. Now this particular turnout has a few amenities you're really going to love. For starters, the steepness of the cliff, as you can see there, is very steep. You could end up falling right to your death. This turnout also has a few mini trails where, as you see here, a few people are hanging out with seats. You bring your own seat, have lunch, and observe the views of the ocean. So as you can see, Like I said earlier, you can bring a seat if you have one, and then you can just chill out, network with your colleagues, absorb the amazing ocean views. Let me show you some of the ocean views you're going to see. So from the top of this cliff at the end of the trail, the mini trail, you see the views are incredible. And the clouds I see are ones way in the background, back deep into the ocean. Here's a wonderful panoramic view of the ocean from the cliff. How about that shot right down the middle of the highway? Wonderful, isn't it? So as I mentioned earlier, we'll prodigally look back towards where we came, which was at Portuguese Beach, and you can see the views are quite different as you're moving northbound Highway 1, and then you turn around and you look southbound from where you came. It's just extraordinary. Now we're approaching the Gleason Overlook. Yet another wonderful turnout where, as I mentioned earlier, another great photo opportunity of the ocean. But also, I'm going to show you something else you'll be able to see as well. Now, right across the street from the turnout, you'll see the wonderful redwood trees. They're really extraordinary. I believe they're redwood trees, but I love these trees. They add incredible ambiance to the views of the mountains. Now, the Gleason Overlook is a part of the Sonoma Cove State Park, which was the case with many of these beaches and overlooks along Highway 1 here. Bodega Bay is also a part of Sonoma Coast. As we move further north on Highway 1, eventually we'll enter Mendocino County. But Sonoma County in itself is a very large county, and it's got a lot of areas. You probably know most about Sonoma is the wine region, but Sonoma also has the Sonoma Coast as well. Now we're at the Rock Point Overlook, which again is just one great view after another. So here's what you'll see at the Rock Point Overlook. Now the Rock Point Overlook also has a few picnic tables, so it's a great opportunity to take a break, have lunch with your network with your colleagues, family, and friends. It's just to the right of the entrance to the parking lot of the Rock Point Overlook. Here's another shot of the picnic area. Now here's a call box, many of which you'll find along Highway 1, where especially if your phone isn't working and you have an emergency, you can use the call box and dial 911. And I'm going to give you an up-close view of what's inside that yellow box there, so you see the phone. So here's an up-close view of the call box. And so again, if you have an emergency and your cell phone isn't working, then here's an option for help. Now here's a wonderful view of the Hillside Mountains, and this particular one has a windmill in the background. You don't see too many of those windmills on Highway 1. So at a distance we can see even more wildlife on the top of the hill there, one of the ranches here. Now here at Duncans Cove, you get another wonderful overlook. You have more parking options, but also there's more picnic tables as well. So let me show you. So as you can see, and many people are taking full advantage of the picnic table options while observing spectacular views of the ocean. So as you can see, it's a photographer's paradise. So this is what a lot of people will do when they park at the overlook. As you can see, you park at the edge of the parking lot, and then you can either get out and sit at the picnic table, or you can sit in your car and watch the ocean views, as well as sunset. And have a close view of the ocean from the edge of the overlook. Now here's a look down at the beach at Duncans Cove. I can't seem to find beach access. You'll find that to be the case on many beaches along Highway 1. Some of them simply don't have any beach access. But we'll check it out. Now we're at Duncans Landing, which is just a few feet from Duncans Cove. Now, Duncans Landing appears to have a road access, so there's a bit more going on at Duncansville, so let's check it out. So here's the road leading to inside of Duncans Landing. So here's one of the parking lots at Duncans Landing. Let me show you what you're going to see at this parking lot. So you can see wonderful views of the hillside cliffs from looking southbound from which we came, and it's just extraordinary. So you have the option of turning right here to visit more of Duncans Landing, or turn to your left. And I think there's another road here as well leading up to a hill. So you can see in the background two people, they just came from the top of that hill there. So let's check that hill out. Here's the road leading up to the top of that hill. So you can see there's more parking options here, but I just saw some massive waves come up along the cliff here, so let's check that out. Yeah, right along this area here is where I saw some massive waves come up on the cliff. As you can see, there's a few seating options as well. So to give you a better overall view, I'm standing up on the picnic table as some of the ocean waves run up against the cliffs. So let me give you some more individual shots of the waves running up along the cliffs. Woo! As you can see, they really come up on the cliffs there. Whoa, here's another one coming. Give you some slow motion shots. Now I'm going to give you some time-lapse shots of the huge ocean waves. as you look just to your right from the major wave activity, the cliff, you'll see yet another beach where ocean waves are coming into. And the beach is fairly long too as well. I'll try to see if I can find an access to the beach. I see a few people down there. But also there's another large rock, ocean rock in the background. But the main waves activity is right in this particular, at Duncans Landing right here. I'll give you some more panoramic shots of the huge wave activity here along the ocean rocks. Now we're going to return back to Portuguese Beach, but before we do, I'm going to check out this trail leading to the hill on that rock. However, before we check out that hill, I'm going to show you the mini trail leading out to the beach. I didn't see it at first, but it's right within the parking lot. So here's the trail leading to the beach. It's funny because it's kind of hidden, right? It's right adjacent to where the cars are parked. I'll show you when we go back up the hill here. So here's kind of like a panoramic view of the trail as it heads down towards the beach. And here's another wonderful view of the beach. I'll give you a few more shots of the beach before we head back. Here's some slow motion shots of people walking up the trail, so you can see where the trail leads to and how to get to and from the beach. So here's the parking lot as indicating just adjacent to Duncans Landing, the Duncans Landing trail leading down to the Duncans Landing beach. So here's that mini trail I was telling you about that takes you right up to the top of this rock. Let's check this out. So you can see we're approaching the top of the rock, but I see there's two other people walking up that rock as well, coming from a different angle from this trail, so there may be more trails leading up to the top of that rock. So now we're approaching the top of the rock. Oh yeah, the views are incredible. And also we're approaching the sunset, which will probably occur in another hour or so. That's the other thing that makes it special when you driving up Highway 1 during the late fall and winter, is usually the sun sets around 5 p.m. or so. So you have the opportunity to also watch the spectacular views of the sunset, which we'll see in another hour or so. Give you some more shots of the ocean and some more slow-mo shots as well. Now, if you're bold enough to climb on top of the rock, the views are even more amazing. But this is somewhat a little risky, so you have to be in pretty good shape. Here's another view on top of the rock where you get the view everybody's watching of the ocean and sunset. So here's what the rock looks like. And you also have the option of walking through some of the other rocks as you head back down towards the road. So here's kind of like a mini trail leading down from the top of the rock back down to the main road. So here's yet another trail leading down to another beach that's within this cove. It's amazing how just by walking around the parking lot, you'll discover more beach access. So here's the stepwell leading down to the Duncans Landing beach. The other side of the beach, which essentially is this beach is pretty much on the other side of the parking lot from Duncans Landing. Now I want to give you some more slow motion shots of the ocean waves coming into the sea rocks. So now we're going to return back to Portuguese Beach. How about this shot in the middle of Highway 1? Looks like the clouds have come in and taken the sunset away, which I was going to show you. So as I said, the clouds came in and we weren't able to give you the sunset, which is really amazing. But that's the way it goes. As you can see, you can also bring your family out and get some great shots of the ocean and sunset. Another view of the sunset over the clouds. How about this view of the oncoming ocean waves with the sunset in the background? Well, this concludes our Phase 6 film shoot of the Highway 1 Scenic Drive north of San Fran. If you liked everything you saw and learned, I'd appreciate if you would subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and share with your family and friends. And also don't forget to log onto my website where you can view my blog and gain greater insights about the film shoot, as well as see a visual map of the actual route. The website is PairRec.com. That's PAIRREC.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter, where I'll provide you with a step-by-step guide, a PDF guide of all the points of interest. And also I'll put a link in the description for all the various phases 1 through 5 as well along Highway 1 north of San Fran. And finally, don't forget to tune in to the next film shoot as we continue our journey going northbound as we head towards Mendocino. That's all for now. Have a nice day, and I will see you on the next film shoot. Goodbye.